Gotta accept the thing. Gotta accept the thing. I've accepted. We can record now.
Accept the thing. It is Cinnamon episode 66. Man, we are back. It's been about 2 of the weeks. 2 of the weeks, yes, since we last had an episode. It is I, one of your hosts, Seed, and of course, joining me as always, the effervescent Mr. Douglas Davidson. How are you doing today, sir?
Not feeling so bubbly, but I'll, maybe I'm a flat effervescence. Can you be flat effervescence?
No, but I have enough bubbles for both of us. So
sweet.
We are good to go.
Sweet. What you drinking? We are not sponsored by.
We are not. Yeah, we need to have listening staff sponsors. We are. Today we're drinking Evil Twin Brewing. It's called Soft DK. Well, okay then.
So, how's your soft dick?
Well, delicious. Yeah, man, it's been a couple weeks since we last recorded.
Yeah, in fact, right before we recorded, some big movies came out, which we will get to, because one of them in particular has had some hot conversation, and I need to hear from you on a few things.
Right on. Before we get there, let us start how we always start, sir. Sure. What have you seen recently?
Well, I'm going to narrow down what I've seen to a couple of sort of recommendations. Okay. The first one I finally got to. In fact, last night I checked out the Arrow Video 4K restoration of RoboCop. Holy shit, it's gorgeous.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
We killed you.
Which is possibly the greatest thing any villain has ever yelled in a movie.
You're dead. We killed you. If I'm a big fan of RoboCop, and watching it in particular last night, I began to realize just how much of the satire I missed since the last time I've watched it. Like the amount of education, the amount of growth I've had as an individual. There's a lot of the satire I was firmly aware of with, God damn it, Starship Troopers, but I missed a lot of the stuff with RoboCop.
I'm playing my part.
Good job, citizen. So rewatching RoboCop, in particular, the way that stuff is structured and stuff, the way that it's presented, I just was like, holy shit, it's now.
Yes.
And which makes it even creepier because this story was created as a response to the Reagan administration and the police state that was forming and the way that corporations were getting more access and privatization was being pushed, et cetera, et cetera. Sound for fucking familiar. So in terms of the story, still riveting, still exciting, still fantastic to watch. I mean, even the stop motion that they had blended in with the live action still works. Ed 209 still looks fucking fantastic.
That giant murder bot or whatever it is.
Yeah, Ed 209.
Yeah, that's right.
The 4K, if you have been a fan of this and all you've got is the Blu-ray, if you are interested in 4K restorations, I think it is worth a pickup. I would wait for a sale, because if you have owned any of the previous Blu-rays, particularly the Arrow Blu-ray, the bonus features are primarily the same.
Yeah, makes sense.
Apparently the restoration for this was done in 2013 under the supervision of Verhoeven. And so they used that to make the 4K, which was done from the original transfer, et cetera. Except what's interesting is that in 2013, when they did that, it was for the unrated director's edition that 20th Century Studios, now 20th Century Studios, but 20th Century Fox back in 2013, when they did their uncut director's cut Blu-ray release, that's when they did this restoration. And so Arrow took that restoration and made that for their Blu-ray and then used that same Blu-ray restoration to do the 4K. So this is from the negative, but they basically took the work that had been done in 2013 to make the 4K, and it looks fantastic. And with the exception of some lack of color grading matching when you watch the director's cut, because, there's that extra footage that didn't didn't make it through. So when you're watching the director's cut, there's some stuff that doesn't quite match up because of the color grading. That makes sense because you're watching the extra scenes. And there's some instances where the audio isn't quite as immersive because originally it was, 2.0 audio, but you can watch this in 5.1 or 7.1 Dolby Atmos. So there was a scene or two where the audio didn't feel quite as balanced, but otherwise it's a good restoration. Would recommend it. But would definitely recommend, if you've already got some of the other stuff, wait till it goes on sale, snag it. The 4K comes in a collector's edition steelbook that has just a booklet and the 2 discs in 4K, director's cut and theatrical, or you can get the regular limited edition, which comes with like some cards as well, but still has the booklet and all the other stuff. But
we almost have as many RoboCop releases as we have Blade Runner releases.
No. Hold on. Blade Runner releases, you've got about 5 versions between the assembly cut, the final cut, the theatrical, directors, whatever. With RoboCop, we've got like Blu-ray, DVD, 4K Laserdisc. That's different.
Okay.
Although with this release, you do get the edited for television version, as well as a bonus feature that shows you the additional edits that they made. In fact, in the booklet, it's hilarious. There's parts in the booklet where it'll be like, here's the original line, here's the edited line that they put in. And then when they re-edited it for television, here's the line, and then here's how they changed it further. It's fucking hilarious.
That's great.
But for people that are fans and are interested in this kind of minutia, it's fun information to have. So that's one thing. Another restoration that hit my inbox, I was not familiar with this director's work at all. I suspect those of you that listen to the show, even Daryl, you might be familiar with Juzo Itami, who did Tampopo. I've heard about the film a lot, but I've never seen it. That was his second film. This film, The Funeral, is his first. 1984 release. It got a restoration from Criterion, which as of this recording comes out available tomorrow on the 17th. This film is a satire of the funeral rites practices. Takes place across 3 days. It is a comedy, but it is not like... It's a satire in the way that RoboCop is a satire. There are funny moments, but satirizing something doesn't mean that it's funny. It just means that it's poking at it. And particularly finding out that in one scene, this couple, it's the woman's father who's died. They're watching a video to find out how they're supposed to respond to people that are trying to offer their condolences. And before they get to that part, there's a whole section about what you're supposed to say to the bereaved. And you're watching it, and they're two characters are actors. So and one of them's like, I need to learn my lines. And so there's this layered thing of their actors trying to figure out how to behave, except in Japan. And I learned this in the essay, came with the booklet. In Japan, there's a video like this so that you know what you're supposed to say to the bereaved, and the bereaved know exactly what to say. It's an exploration, this film, of the public versus private. And the humor really comes out when the public stuff comes out in private, like when the Buddhist priest is going on and on and on and on and on in his prayer, and you start to see everybody adjusting because their feet are falling asleep. So it's sort of these human moments. I found it rather lovely. I'll have a review up on that on Elements of Madness. And then when is this episode going to drop?
Oh, sometime.
Well, sometime. Is it going to release afternoon on the 17th? Probably.
If you needed to.
I do, because Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers comes out on the 20th.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's weird that I didn't love this movie. It's
Sounds like it's right up Doug's alley.
It should be. I laughed quite a bit, but it's the kind of thing where you laugh while you're watching it, and then you're sort of done when it's over. It's directed by Akiva Shaver of The Lonely Island. It's got Andy Samberg and John Mulaney as the voices of Dale and Chip. I said it backwards on purpose. You've got Kiki Lane, Will Arnett, Eric Bana, Flula Borg, Keegan-Michael Key, Tress McNeil. Yes, she's back to do some voices. Tim Robinson, Seth Rogen, J.K. Simmons, and others. It's in the vein of Who Framed Roger Rabbit in that there's real people dealing with the animated people. The There is a murder mystery, or not a murder mystery, but there is a mystery that is involved. Who Framed Roger Rabbit had the murder. And this is very adult. Do not put this in front of your children.
Ooh, sounds like the perfect thing to put in front of my children.
Well, maybe your kids if they're of a certain age, but certainly my kids, at least the oldest being almost 7, I would not have him watch this. This is not a Chip and Dale adventure for him to watch. This is a Chip and Dale adventure for the adults to watch, for the teens and stuff like that. This is very adult in its humor. It is very adult in its concept. And while stuff is funny and there may be stuff that they miss, kind of like I'm Not Bad, I'm Just Drawn That Way in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, or Patty Cake, as it were, there are some stuff that's a little bit more overt in this one. But there's definitely some jokes for the adults. There's one in particular, Daryl, I would be happy to tell you off mic, but I do not want to spoil for anyone listening to this. And it's probably the best joke, even if it drags on a little too long. So that comes on Disney Plus on Friday the 20th. It is worth checking out, even if you never think of it again. It's fun, but it really doesn't rise above anything more than that, which is weird for me to say because it kind of reminded me of aspects of Free Guy, of Space Jam 2, in the way that it very much understands it's based on an animated program. And so it's got realistic rules and realistic things tied to those rules. But it doesn't seem to go any further than, ha, 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 you might confuse us with Chippendales. But no, we're not sexy dancers. We're Chip and Dale. It's like that kind of thing over and over for 90 minutes. Yeah. It didn't work for me, apparently, from what I've seen of the early reactions, the social reactions that are posted right now. I'm in the minority. Totally fine. If this works for you, fucking dig it. So Chip and Dale's, fucking dig it if you want to.
Glowing review right there, Douglas Davidson.
Didn't say it was going to be glowing. And then I want to hear from you before I bring up my last new watch, because we're going to talk about it together.
All right, I watched a movie called Monstrous. Shit was whack. Christina Ricci, man. Colleen Camp, if you remember her from Clue, the movie. Da, 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 da. I'm singing telepath.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, no, that wasn't her. Colleen Camp, she's the maid.
Yeah, the maid. Yeah, not the singing telegram, the maid. Sorry. Yeah, she's in there. It's a supposed supernatural thriller about supposed Christina Ricci is a wife who has taken her son and fled her, we assume, abusive husband. It's all hinted at, but never exactly laid out. But we assume some sort of abuse has gone on. Taking the son, fled, and is trying to build a new life. And they rent this house that's on this the property of some old folks, and just try to rebuild and restructure, get the kid into a new school and all that kind of stuff. And then they're right on a lake. Their house butts up against the lake, and something every night is coming out of the lake for the kid. And of course, Christina Ricci's like, "Oh, stop playing games. I don't believe all that." And then as events progress, and she sees the thing, and she starts flipping out, has no one to go to. The old couple never see it. And her life just unravels more and more and more as she has no idea how to deal with this. Not great. It's a weak story that relies 1000% on the twist at the end, or the reveal at the end.
She's the monster in the lake.
It
was the monster we met along the way.
No, it's not that.
Don't spoil it.
It's I did my review. The first review that has ever had a spoiler in it from me, because I just did not care that much. But yeah, if you're looking for something to tide you over until the good shit starts coming out for Halloween with all the scariness, I guess there's worse places you could go.
Shudder's got some great stuff.
I did not see where this is coming out. I think it might be on VOD. Not quite sure. Did not. Select theaters. It was in select theaters as of this past weekend. That's right. Yeah, if you're just a huge Christina Ricci fan, there you go, something to check out. Not great. Now, what did you want to talk about there, sir?
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Like, why are you Dr. Orpheus all of a sudden?
Relation? I don't know.
Okay.
Dr. Orpheus, that's what's his face, right?
Dr. Orpheus is from Venture Brothers.
Yeah. That's Crystal's uncle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no bullshit.
That's craziness. That's craziness. Orpheus is my favorite character on that show.
We'll see what I can do then.
he's so fucking over dramatic about everything. Oh, God, I love Dr. Orpheus. I love that show. Yeah. Let's talk about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse. Oh, madness, sir. What do you want to talk about there?
Well, first of all, you and I were at the same screening for that, and
holding hands,
as one does. It got scary. I needed comfort. What I found fascinating was the stuff that you got audibly and physically excited over, because stuff would happen and I'd see things out of the corner of my eye. And next thing I know, your back was nowhere near your seat for some time. I don't know if it was the mention of incursions that got you excited. I don't know if it was the mention of the Illuminati that got you excited. But there was stuff that you were just like super stoked. And
incursion.
So from that perspective, why does that get you excited?
It gets me excited because Incursions is the very heart of the greatest, in my opinion, superhero storyline to ever exist outside of Watchmen, which is kind of like a one-off 12 issues. But this is my superhero Bible. Okay. Like, I love Jonathan Hickman's New Avengers run, where he kind of brings the Illuminati back. They haven't been seen on the page together in this form in quite some time, and he kind of repurposes the Illuminati to deal with the incursions, and it just leads to absolute fucking madness. He is a sci-fi writer at heart, and then just shoves superheroes into his sci-fi concepts. He kind of did the same thing with X-Men a couple years later and revived New Blood into them. And this is very much a hard sci-fi story that also just happens to have Avengers all throughout it as well.
Okay. Is this storyline somehow tied into Secret Wars?
Or is it just Secret Wars? Everything that happens leads directly into Secret Wars. Interesting.
Okay. So with that, it's more about the possibilities of where things could go, and that's what excites you.
It is that, and it is just the acknowledgement of incursions. That just in and of itself. If we never got anything with Secret Wars, I will be still happy that we got the acknowledgement of incursions in the MCU at some point.
Okay. I also was curious, what was your personal reaction to not just seeing the Illuminati, having them recognized, but about what happened with them? Because people, I've seen a lot of reactions to this online, and I'm curious what you thought about that in particular. I'm happy to share my own thoughts as well, but what do you think about that?
Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Hubris, all about hubris. That's what took them down. They didn't take Wanda seriously. They in turn all paid the price for it, and I loved to see it. It's nice seeing the Illuminati. It's nice seeing Reed Richards on screen, and even if we like the incursions, if we never get Krasinski as Reed, I can at least say, hey, this is the dude I wanted to be Reed for years. I at least got these 3 minutes with him. So it satisfied my nerd heart.
Okay.
What about you, sir? What's your thoughts on all this?
Well, one thing that I found interesting is so many people got upset that we get Krasinski and then he's gone.
Yeah.
I've wondered if No Way Home set too many expectations.
That's exactly what happened. No. It didn't set too many expectations. It was its own thing, and then fans hyped themselves up for too much happening. Marvel never said it's going to be cameos galore. They said, yeah, there'll be a couple cameos in here, but it's a Doctor Strange movie. Like Marvel didn't market it as Cameo Fest. The fans talked themselves into the fact that it was a Cameo Fest. They set their own expectations and they hung themselves by their own expectations. And they were so salty that they didn't get the cameo of multiverse, the cameo of madness. And no, this is a Doctor Strange, much like Civil War, like I said in my review. There's a shit ton of Avengers in there, but it is still very clearly focused and centered on Captain America. It's the same thing here.
Yeah.
It's a Doctor Strange story with a couple cameos.
And you know, at least in my case, before I think it was with our last recording, we hadn't seen Doctor Strange yet. I was under the impression that if they're showing us stuff in the trailers, what aren't they showing us? And it's that stuff that we should really be excited for. And personally, having the Illuminati in there and making it clear that we were getting Carter, we were getting a Captain Marvel, Professor X was going to show up. The version of Professor X we got, just fucking chef's kiss on that one. Those are things that were known. So for me, the unknown and what was really exciting is that this was an opportunity to do inconsequential damage to the MCU. This was an opportunity to have Wanda let loose, but it wouldn't fucking matter. I felt like because of the whole thing of with trailers, what are they showing versus what are they not showing? What does it mean? Blah, blah, blah. The fact that we got to see the Illuminati, it was the most inconsequential thing to the MCU. It was a beautiful way to show how fucking powerful the Scarlet Witch is, but have zero impact on the MCU as we know it. I also sort of felt like by the end of the film, for whatever is coming, and we have no idea, and whether or not even the MCU knows outside of Kevin Feige really doesn't matter, because you go back to phase 1 and you can look at all the stuff that makes sense, but none of that shit was planned. I mean, fuck, there was a Captain America prototype shield in Iron Man 2, and there was zero reference to Steve Rogers beyond that. And yet Tony had never grown up hearing about Steve Rogers, not even once. He says in Civil War. So, I thought it was a wonderful way to show just how powerful she is without having a major impact. I thought it was a neat way to make first appearance for some fan favorites and make some other aspects of, we'll call it legacy series canon. It can be cool. It can be important for this story, but have zero impact everywhere else. And I think that by itself was worth the price of admission, because that sequence is fucking brilliant. She ripped apart Reed Richards like a fucking Twizzler.
It hurts. It hurts to see my boy Reed go out like that.
Black Bolt.
Anson Mount, man, it was so good to see my man get some respect finally after the shit sandwich he was dealt with his TV show.
I never watched the TV show. I kind of now want to actually see him in action.
You don't.
But that shit was hilarious, and in the most Sam Raimi way possible.
Yeah,
blew out his own goddamn brains.
Hate to see it.
But more than anything with this film, what I really liked about it was it the America Chavez film that fans of hers wanted? Absolutely not. But it wasn't her film. Was she reduced to a MacGuffin? She absolutely fucking was, and that sucks. But we also got a really interesting story with Doctor Strange and with Wanda to continue the exploration of those characters as we've gotten them throughout. And that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Strange has always been this tight ass, and where we thought he was just a different version of Tony Stark, for him, it came from, I've lost people, and if I'm in control, no one else can be responsible but me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really fascinating to learn, and how he learned from himself and his other failures. Oh, I left you to die? Yeah, I would have done that to Tony Stark. In fact, I said the exact goddamn thing to him before I was like, fuck it, and gave up the time stone. But this Strange has always been about the preservation of life. He even says that in the first film when it's about fighting people to the death. in the Sanctum, he's a doctor. He heals people.
Mm-hmm.
This version has always wanted to help, not hurt. So I found that exploration continued fascinating. And this Scarlet Witch, personally, particularly where they ended things in the finale of WandaVision, this felt like the only way she could go.
Oh, yeah.
And now I'm actually super excited for what comes next. And if there was anything that bummed me the fuck out about this movie, where the heck was the Abomination? He and Wong have been, selling out fights on black market, dark web bullshit. Where the fuck was he?
Yeah. Where does he go? like when he's not fighting, is he at the raft? Like, what does he do?
He and Wong leave. I presume he's somewhere in Kamar-Taj, or he's somewhere like, seriously, Shang-Chi just left us this like great thing, and it's out there. Where the fuck is it? But if anything is going to happen with Doctor Strange moving forward and talking about where do we go, I feel like, and this is some forecasting, so I'm likely wrong, but in the same way that we lost Hulk at the end of Age of Ultron before some serious shit went down, I kind of wonder if that's what's going on here, or if they just felt like this was for this story, the best place to put Wanda is to take her off the board.
Yeah. And my issue, my biggest issue with the movie is it seems like we're never at this point going to get No More Mutants, which is like, that's Wanda's thing. Like, Wanda's thing is No More Mutants. That's what we've been waiting for since we knew she was going to be in Age of Ultron. Like, eventually we're going to get some version, some variation. Like,
maybe she was going to say there should be mutants. Maybe that, because we've got none. I mean, unless it's somewhere in Paprika, I forget who posted it and from what social account it's from. But like at some point, the thing was thrown out about, let's just have Deadpool like on a computer and drag over the Fox universe
file.
And you just have Elizabeth Olsen show up and go, let there be mutants. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's how you do it. And he's like, aren't you dead? And she's like, fuck you.
I needed that. Like, that's the thing that's most synonymous with that character. And it seems like at this point we just aren't going to get that. And that really bugs the shit out of me.
Well, here's the thing, though. Something that has been consistent in the MCU is that we have consistently not gotten what we expected, but for the most part have been happy or very happy with what we've gotten.
I think we've consistently gotten adaptations that were true to character. And that is one that is incredibly important part of Wanda's character.
Well, until Elizabeth Olsen retires from the MCU, there is always tomorrow.
There's always tomorrow, but then there's the
sun will come out tomorrow.
But there's also character progression. Like, one is at a pretty fucking low point when she says that, and in order for her to do that in the MCU, we would have to put her right back through the ringer and right back to that low point, and we've already trod that ground. So yeah, I have issues with never getting my No More Mutants, but whatever. It's still a fun movie. We are set up now for Secret Wars. We've gotten Charlize Theron is officially in the MCU as Kalia, Strange's new girlfriend. Fuck Palmer.
Well, her husband is doing that.
Well, yeah, her husband is doing that. I think that man got all of one line in the movie. Good for him. And also Michael Stuhlbarg getting his 3 lines in the movie. Good for him as well. What's your thoughts before we get into our topic for today? What's your thoughts on what they did with Carl Mordo? Still mad because his mama named him Carl.
Well, here's the thing. This isn't our Mordo.
Not our Mordo. And we know what was going to happen to our Mordo. That news has been revealed.
Oh, what was going to happen?
Wanda was going to decapitate our Mordo at the very beginning of the movie. And they decided to not start with that. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Well, only because then there's nothing that you remove him as a character from the board, and it reduces possibilities. Is it a big move to show us Scarlet Witch and her power? Sure. But the way that they do things instead, I think works better. Not only does it immediately throw us into the action, we're seeing a Strange, we're seeing a America Chavez, and we get a demon or a creature of some kind. So it sets up the audience to not expect Wanda to be the bad guy. But if you have Wanda show up immediately and kill Mordo, well, first of all, you're going, Mordo is not exactly a full-on bad guy. He's just got a big problem with people breaking the rules. Technically, the Ancient One and Doctor Strange did break the rules of man.
He did steal poor
There's your line. No more sorcerers.
No more sorcerers. He did steal Benjamin Bratt. Yeah, our boy Pangborn. He did steal Pangborn's power. So yeah, kind of a villain move there.
It's a dick move.
A glaring lack of Pangborn in this movie, I do want to say.
Well, he's not a sorcerer anymore.
We were all, and by we, I mean like me, Brian, and Jerman, were all hoping against hope that Pangborn was going to be in this movie. But unfortunately not.
We know there's going to be a third film. They're going to need all the sorcerers that they can get. But I didn't have a problem with what they did, particularly because we don't know when we get to, what is it, 838?
Mm-hmm.
It's more or less a authoritarian, totalitarian state. At that point, it looks great, but you've got people ruling over everything that tell you whether you've been good or bad. They're not leaving coal in your stocking. They're throwing you in a fucking glass cage. So this is not necessarily a good society, but you still got people attempting to be the heroes. And Mordo, the way that he responds to Strange is more or less just falling in line with what happened to previous Strange. If your best buddy was like, the multiverse is real and you need to protect, because if I come back through, I might do the same thing I've just done. Kill me to prevent the thing. But that's their thinking. So this version of Mordor made Mordor made sense to me. In fact, I actually appreciated the back and forth between the two of them. You almost got the sense that Mordo didn't want to follow through. It didn't necessarily want to stop this Strange. The more that they fought, as though some of what this Strange was saying was connecting with him in a way. I may be reading into that because I just can't imagine this Mordo couldn't have. Our Strange is like parkouring up and out, and Mordo standing there like,
you did.
How is this wizard doing these things? You're the fucking Sorcerer Supreme. Get him. Like,
right? Yeah. They kind of just left that as a dangly thread of like Mordo saw him like parkour out, and you're just like, huh? Next time,
I never imagined such a thing.
Yeah, my boy can jump.
Yeah, like isn't that dude like double jump with his shoes? Isn't that part of his enchanted like?
Our Mordo has the shoes. We don't know if his Mordo has the shoes.
I thought we saw him using the shoes.
I think we do. We do actually see him.
So he should be able to double jump his ass out of there. So I feel like this Mordo was like, I agree with you, but I don't want to agree with you. Get the fuck out of here before I have to come after you. So I get that vibe. But one thing,
get off my lawn vibes from Carl Mordo.
One thing I will say more than anything before I forget is that for those of you that are like, they finally admitted 616, Quentin Beck was right. They introduced 616 as this Marvel Universe in Thor 2. Go back and watch the movie.
It's on Eric Selvig's chalkboard, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It is. So a lot of people are like, oh, Quentin Beck. Yeah, he probably did his research, and there's Selvig talking about the multiverse.
Yep.
Quentin Beck, not an idiot. Asshole, not an idiot.
Asshole, not an idiot, and just dreamy to look upon at all times. Quentin Beck
is so pretty.
Yeah. I to wrap it up, man, I thoroughly enjoyed that Strange. I think I got one more viewing in me. I'm gonna go back and watch it one more time, but enjoyed it, man. It's a long ass chase movie.
Yes.
Someone on a far more prestigious podcast than ours made the
love them anyway.
Great analysis that they let Raimi, but first he had to start as an MCU director. It starts as a very MCU-ish movie, and then the further it goes on, the more Raimi it gets.
Yeah, it do. And in the best ways, but also in ways that fans of his are like, that feels like fan service, but it's very much MCU. Like I love the Zombie Strange. It's like, he's got a deadite. I fucking love it. It's great. But I also
Strange
love
came out, I'll swallow your soul.
Yeah, but he said it to the death specters instead. It wasn't like America or Scarlet Witch. It was like, no. I fucking love that. He's getting eaten alive by these creatures. Oh, you broke the rules of man and you possessed a dead person. And we're going to kill you. And by dawn. And he's like, Christine goes, you're the Sorcerer Supreme. Fuck those guys. Oh, right. Get over here. And like, wears them as a cape.
It's so great. It's so
that's
great.
Cinema.
That's Scorsese cinema. I think my favorite scene in that movie is when I really started noticing he went full Raimi, and it's the first time Wanda dreamwalks into other Wanda, and other Wanda's like, what's going on? And you get that very Raimi-esque Raimi-esque scene in the kitchen there where she's just kind of flipping out, and like she looks down at that teacup and it's like the ocean going on in a teacup or whatnot. And it reminded me of Evil Dead 2 where the house is like fucking with him and doing all these different things. The deer starts laughing at him and shit.
Yeah, the lamp. Yeah, the two of them are like,
yep. And then and Wanda breaks the fourth wall and looks directly at the camera in that scene, which gave me chills. So much good about that movie, man. It currently sits, I do believe, number 10 on my MCU list.
It sits within my top 28.
Well, there you go. Are you ready, sir, to get into? Hold on a second. Are you ready to get into the subject for the day?
The weird and wild.
The weird and wild. Sir, weird and wild. This is your idea, sir. So lay this down for the viewers, please, or the audience, please.
Not a problem. Please don't tell me we have viewers, because I haven't showered today. The whole idea, honestly, was coming out of Doctor Strange, and yes, it's an MCU flick, and yes, it hits a lot of those notes, but it's also just sort of a oddball film. Like, it's oddball in the way that Thor Ragnarok is oddball. It just doesn't necessarily line up with the rest of the films, even though it fits very much within it. And it just got me thinking about sort of the left of center movies that are out there. So rather than picking something that was easily Googleable in the sense of what's a definition we can both agree to of what something was, this one becomes far more subjective. And so Weird and Wild would be something that, for me, I was thinking of would have ideas or explore concepts that, again, left of center. So we're talking about movies like Daniel Isn't Real, which blends the supernatural with the psychological. Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, which we've discussed. Birdman, or the ignorance,
unexpected virtue of ignorance.
Of ignorance, thank you. Brigsby Bear, which is a sort of dark and yet very uplifting film. House 2, Second Story, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. Planet Terror, The Forest of the Lost Souls. Little Monsters, those of you that remember that one.
Shout out to Harry Mandel.
That movie is so fucking creepy. I can't wait to show it to Connor. He'll probably be 15 by the time he sees it, because he scares way too easily, whereas I probably saw it when I was 8 or 9. It would be like any fucking Muppet movie ever, but it would also include stuff like Repo the Genetic Opera, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Spaced Invaders, where it also might include something like Versus, which is sort of a Japanese Evil Dead type movie, Kung Pao, Enter the Fist, or even Possessor. So it's films that are a little off. They could have been released mainstream, whether in our country or in the native country that it was made, but just something a little off. Willy's Wonderland, Puppet Master.
All right, let's get to it, sir.
So mine are listed in chronological order by release, and I picked some films that either I haven't talked about much or that I love so goddamn much I have to talk about them at every opportunity. So these are just 3 of my favorite Weird and Wild movies. And the first one is an action flick from 2015. So I know I didn't go very far back for this, and this is the oldest one on my list. It's Ilya Naschuller's Hardcore Henry. Oh,
Hardcore Henry.
I fucking love this movie. It took my brain so long to get acclimated to it because for those of you that are unfamiliar, Hardcore Henry is entirely first person. The film is about a guy who is newly resurrected as a cyborg, and he has to save his wife from the clutches of a dude with telekinetic power, and an army of mercenaries. He is helped by a dude named Jimmy, who's
Sharlto
played
Copley,
by
right?
Sharlto Copley.
Yeah. Where's that
And
guy been recently?
I don't know, but as in addition to being an actor, he's also a pretty significant producer with his own studio in I believe Africa. So, I mean, he's sort of all over the place. But what's brilliant about this movie, for those of you that don't know, is Henry. We get his perspective on everything. So whether he's running, he's jumping, he's falling out of a plane, if he's fighting someone, if he's riding a tank, whatever is happening, we are seeing it from his perspective. So it took me a little while because it's just a little disorienting. So those of you that have any sort of motion sickness issues, maybe take a Dramamine before you check it out or skip it altogether. Totally understand. But for those of you that don't have those issues, this is a unique cinematic experience. And you'd think that it would get old, but it does not. And even more than that, Sharlto Copley plays Jimmy, sure, but he keeps dying and keeps coming back as a different character.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. Also, I love that Tim Roth is in this in these flashbacks. And as you go through the movie and you get more and more of the flashbacks, they get even better. And any movie that has Tim Roth, I just 2 thumbs up. I'm already interested in checking it out. Like I just saw the trailer for Resurrections, which premiered at Sundance and is now being released by IFC, I think it is. And Tim Roth's in it. Sold. I mean, it's also got Rebecca Hall, who is fucking great and creepy ass shit. So sold on that too. But Tim Roth and Hardcore Henry, fucking check that shit out. It ends up in the kind of fight sequence where I kind of want to spoil one of my favorite moments of the movie, but it takes place in the climax.
No, don't spoil anything, sir. People need to go into that movie as naked as possible, I think.
Okay. Then I would just say this movie is, well, it's wild and weird. And check out a trailer. And if it seems like your thing, you can rent it or buy it from iTunes, from Amazon, from the regular streaming services. It's also available on Blu-ray. I would love to get a collector's edition where they just throw thousands of hours of special features just to see how they do that shit. But that is my first film.
It is in contention for my 100 action movies list.
As it fucking should be. The whole movie it's all an action film.
It really is just one giant scene.
It is. It just changes locations.
I'm looking forward to revisiting that one to see if it makes a list or not.
I may have to do that too.
Yeah, you do that, sir. My first one, you talked about it already. You mentioned it there. Possessor! Possessor's just fucking weird. It's such a great concept for a movie. And it is so Cronenberg-esque, Brendan or David, that it's not my type. It's body horror, a little bit of body horror, but more sci-fi psychological than anything.
It's not The Thing body horror.
Yeah, David Cronenberg's like, stand back, son. I'm gonna do Crimes of the Future and show you what body horror is.
No, thank you.
Yeah, we get a little bit of body horror in this, but yeah, it's more sci-fi psychological. It's a movie about a technology where we can upload a person's consciousness into another person and take it over. And the company does this to commit assassinations. They are hired by whoever they are hired by to upload themselves into this poor random innocent person, the patsy, the puppet, to carry out this. It seems like it's more used corporate espionage than anything else. And in this particular case, Andrea Riseborough is the person who is doing this, and you can tell at the very beginning that she's not quite all there. It seems like just the jumping in and out of different people's bodies and personalities is having an effect on her mental stability. And it would also appear that her boss, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, doesn't give a shit. to her mental instability. So she's ready to pull another job. That job starts to go sour when the body that she hops into starts fighting back. And that's kind of where everything goes left. I rewatched Possessor right before I recorded with that batch of the 100 sci-fi movies. So sometime last year, or maybe earlier this year. And it just holds up. It's so good. It put both Andre Riseborough and Christopher Abbott, who is the body she tries to possess, on my map. Christopher Abbott was also in Black Bear, Audrey Plaza last year. He was very good in that as well. And it's great. Sean Bean for maybe a coffee and a half in there, and boy, does he gets put through. There's where a lot of your buddy horror comes from. He gets put through the ringer in this movie, but it is so weird and disturbing, and the ending is so cerebrally fucked up that I enjoy every aspect of this. As far as my neon rankings go, Possessor is very, very high up, like top 5, maybe. I think it's a good movie, man. I really enjoy Possessor. It's just fucking weird.
Which Christopher Abbott actually hit my radar with a movie called Piercing, which I saw first. There's something about this dude. He just likes weird ass movies. And maybe I saw It Comes at Night first. I think I did. Let me see. Yeah, It Comes at Night came out first, but I just didn't know who he was. But Possessor, Black Bear, It Comes at Night, A Most Violent Year, Piercing. He's in the new On the Count of Three. This dude just likes some weird ass shit. And by the way, Piercing, for anybody that's looking for something wild, just to quickly spearhead off of this wasn't my recommendation, but I'll just sneak it in there. 2018, a movie called Piercing with Christopher Abbott. Mia Wasikowska is also in this with him, but it's about a guy who fantasizes about committing murder. And so he decides he's going to go through with it to scratch that itch. And he hires a prostitute, brings her to a hotel, but it turns out she's not so easily killed, but also she's into pain. The whole movie is so fucked up. It's seriously good. The director of this, Nicholas Pess, I'm honestly not sure how to pronounce it. He apparently directed the new Grudge that came out in 2020 that I haven't seen, but he did do The Eyes of My Mother, which is so fucking creepy and amazing that if you've seen The Grudge and liked it, check out The Eyes of My Mother and Piercing. But Piercing has Christopher Abbott in it. God, that guy. If he shows up in a movie, I'm like, this is going to be fucked up.
Yeah, it's going to be some weird shit. Yeah, looking at my neon list, it is Possessor sitting at a firm number 4 on my list. I really enjoyed the shit out of that movie.
It is on my list of neon films that I've seen.
There you go.
Also on Well-Go films that I've seen.
Well-Go.
Well-Go did the home release.
Okay.
That's how I got to see it.
It's in the Neon book.
Well, yeah, but I saw it before the Neon book.
Okay.
Yeah, it came out on home video before that.
I think it was the first movie I actually reviewed. I reached out and I was like, "Hey, can I see this?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Boy, did I pick a movie!"
Yeah, you did. And for those of you that haven't checked it out, be advised: there's 2 versions. There's the uncut version, and then there's the regular version. So if you're going to watch it, be aware of that. The uncut version,
that uncircumcised version, it is some wild shit.
Oh God, that's the one where it's basically the difference. We talked about RoboCop earlier. If you're familiar with it, it's the difference between watching Murphy's arm being blown off and versus it being insinuated that his arm's been blown off. That's the big difference here, is the amount of violence you'll see in Possessor versus what's implied.
That's right. Possessor, I'd buy that for $1. What's your next pick, Doug?
I bought that shit on sale on 4K. I was like, this is going to be gorgeous.
You got it on 4K?
Yes, I do.
Possessor?
Yeah.
Let me just slide on over to Amazon while you talk about your next joint.
Talking about weird and wild. Now, this film that I'm going to discuss, it's from 2016. It is from a duo partner, a duo of directors. And they have a film out now. I have still yet to see, and I am very, very angry about it. But their previous film, it is The Daniels, Swiss Army Man. I've talked
Ah,
about this film before. I honestly wasn't going to include it on my list. I was going through my movies and I was writing some stuff down, and Crystal goes, well, what about Swiss Army Man? I was like, well, I don't know. She goes, Daniel Radcliffe plays a farting corpse. I went, fair point. Wrote that down. And the more I thought about it, I love everything about this movie, from the score to the cinematography, the direction, the performances, the production design, the art design. Everything about it is just totally beautiful. If I have the opportunity to talk about it, I can't not talk about it and recommend it. For those of you that don't know, it's about a guy by the name of Hank, played by Paul Dano, who gets marooned on an island. He's just about to kill himself. He's lost all hope when here comes a dead body played by Daniel Radcliffe, and it comes up on the shore. And right as he sees it, thinking it might be alive, he's like, and he loses his balance and he starts getting hung. And then it breaks and he falls down. He's like, oh, thank God, there's somebody. And he gets all excited and it's a corpse, except that corpse has really bad flatulence. And he's like, well, shit, maybe I can ride this guy off the island. And that's how Swiss Army Man begins, with him literally riding on the back of Daniel Radcliffe, who he's using his gastric powers to get off the island. And upon getting to land, he starts to discover that this body actually has a personality. It has a soul, if you will. Now, it's very much dead. It's very much a corpse, but it starts becoming a little bit more mobile, but also a little bit more rigid. And all of that comes into play as the story goes through. But it's an exploration of life, not just post-death, but post-trauma, and how we deal with that trauma. And it's not entirely clean in the way that it ends, in the sense of, is it clear in what it means? But to me, that also adds to the beauty of it. So my second Wild and Weird is Swiss Army Man.
yeah, if I remember correctly, it ends with Daniel Radcliffe looking in the camera and saying, fuck Harry Potter. And it just the black.
No.
No, that's not how I must have been a dream I had last night. Very good pick, sir. That's one I have on my, because it's an A24 movie, I think. Mm-hmm. It's on my A24 to watch list.
Ooh, well, then I might have to establish a challenge at some point simply to help you speed that along.
Oh, thank you very much.
But we'll see.
Appreciate
but we'll see. By the way, before you click purchase after you add to cart, sometimes Possessor goes on sale. I picked mine up for about $12-13. I don't know what it's priced at now.
It's 17 or it's 18 right now.
So it just depends on how you feel about it.
Maybe I'll wait on that then. Good look on that, sir.
I try not to buy anything full price if I can help it, because I don't have an income.
Strange enough, it's not full price. It's down from $30.
Again, I bought mine for like 12 or 13.
No, I bought, since I told you Criterion discs are 30% off this month, I picked up Love Jones, which is a movie that is...
Love Jones. Sorry, I don't know the Chris Rock song. I want to know the Chris Rock song. No, that's Basketball Jones. God.
Yeah, it's basketball. Basketball Jones. I got a Basketball Jones. Oh, baby. Ooh. Love Jones is... anyways, we're not here to talk about Love Jones. Very good movie, though. A movie that more white people need to see. It pairs great with The Photograph, by the way. Exact same themes.
I think I've seen the Love Jones. Love Jones. Sorry. Love Jones. My brain was trying to combine.
The Love Jones, please.
No. My brain was trying to combine The Woods with Love Jones. Ignore me. Which I've also seen The Woods.
The Wood? I mentioned that today on Facebook.
It's a good movie.
I forgot what it was in reference to. Yeah, my second movie, man, Under the Skin. Scarlett Johansson, A24 joins.
Yep.
Fucking weird, man. Directed by Brian Glazer, I do believe, if I remember correctly. Jonathan Glazer, sorry. Directed by Jonathan Glazer, starring Scarlett Johansson, man, and a bunch of hapless, foolish men. It's it is about an alien presence here on Earth who feeds on humans.
It's not presence. It's
no, there's no gifts involved.
No gifts.
It's not presence.
Not a single one.
No. Who feeds pretty much as we are led to believe somehow on humans, and she stalks her prey by disguising herself, shape-shifting herself, I guess, if you will, covering herself in the skin of the ridiculously attractive Scarlett Johansson, to lure men back to her evil lair, to, pretty much spiderweb them, to render them
That's
immobile.
one way to put it.
Yeah, render them immobile until I guess she consumes. And we never see the actual consuming. We just kind of know what happens. Or
well, they sort of. I haven't seen the movie in full. I've only seen parts. I own it, and I haven't, for whatever reason, been able to watch the thing in full. But they're in the room, and they follow her, and where she stays up top, they just drop.
They get sunken lower and lower and lower into whatever it is they sink into, which is what kind of cobwebs them up.
That's what happened to Colin Jost.
This is what happened to Jost, which still lets me know that any mediocre comedian can still be out here in these streets getting it. So good for you, Jost.
I have no idea.
Goofy ass bastard. Yeah, Under the Skin is it's weird. If you like weird, not fully explained movies, it's kind of more vibes than it is movie. That all dreaded word that the kids use these days, vibes. That's kind of what this movie is. There's no linear plot from point A to point Z. It's just she's ensnaring these dudes, and then all of a sudden she finds herself on the wrong end of things. And and then she's led on a merry chase.
I would put forward, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, a trigger warning
for Scarlett Johansson's boobs.
No, for sexual assault. The end of the movie.
Yes, that's right. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, the whole film is about body autonomy and exploration. I mean, the extraterrestrial creature kills to get the skin that is Scarlett Johansson. And as she is going and finding these individuals to be used for consumption, she starts to not get a fondness for humanity, but certainly gain some emotions. And in exploring that, finds, unfortunately, some of the nastier side of life. So that's just something to be aware of, not to spoil it, but that is certainly something I would hate for anyone to go into blind.
There you go. Also, parts of it were, I'm not going to say filmed candidly, but some of her scenes where she's trying to pick up guys were real guys that ScarJo was picking up on. Yes.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't use me in that movie because I'd be like, holy shit, Scarlett Johansson. Can't use this guy. Sign a waiver here, please, sir. But yeah, Under the Skin is fairly quick. 108 minutes, right? 108 minutes of weirdness. And it's 8:24, so you know it's going to be weird in the first place.
Yeah.
What's your second pick?
Third pick.
This
is my third. This one is a film I talked about quite a bit last year, and I will continue to discuss it.
Mitchell's versus the Machines is not going to be on this list, sir.
Okay, first of all, it is weird. Second, it is wild. And third, to quote Katie Mitchell, behold cinema. But no, it is not on this list. It is actually Junta Yamaguchi's Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes.
Mm-hmm.
This is a film that is fucking ridiculous. And honestly, I need to make time to go through the bonus features. I picked it up from Three Window Films when they put it on sale. I think I got it from Terracotta Distribution is the actual store I bought it from, but Three Window Films distributed it. For those of you that don't know, the premise of it is that there's a dude that owns a coffee shop and he lives right upstairs. At the end of the night, he's like, I'm going home. You take care of finishing up cleanup. He goes upstairs. He's hanging out in his apartment. He decides to pull out his guitar. He starts to play. And the monitor that he has downstairs is like, hey, come over here. He's like, what the fuck? And he looks at his monitor and it's him. And he's like, it's me from 2 minutes from now. You're looking for your pick. It's down there underneath the carpet. He has this whole conversation and he's like, come on down. Wait, you got to come. So he goes downstairs. And when he gets downstairs and he looks at the monitor that was talking to him, he sees himself walk into the apartment and it ends up being this big loop. And some of his friends show up, some of his colleagues, and there ends up being this whole thing where You're sometimes running upstairs to the monitor to see what's happening there. They put some of the monitors in front of the monitors so they can look backwards, and they can also look forwards in time by multiples of 2 minutes. It gets a little nutty. It gets a little crazy. And it has one of, if you're familiar with time battles in the vein of Bill and Ted, it gets into that sort of mentality of, if you can play with time, how can you manipulate it in order to outwit a challenge or a certain situation? It is really fun, really brilliant, really quirky, and it clocks in at 70 minutes. So you can sort of jump in, jump out pretty easy. You can rent or buy it digitally through Amazon or iTunes. Again, I picked it up on Blu-ray because I was like, fuck it, I need to own this. And I love it. I haven't yet had time to show it to Crystal, and I very much look forward to it. So if you haven't caught me talking about on one of the previous episodes and you've never seen it, go check that shit out.
Go check that shit out. My third movie definitely falls in the land of weird, man. Darren Aronofsky wasn't playing around on this one.
Mother!
Requiem for a Dream.
Ooh.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Wikipedia calls it a psychological drama. No. Darren Aronofsky came and literally took an Amber Heard shit in all of our brains and said, this is Requiem for a Dream. We said, yes, it is, Darren Aronofsky. Man, multiple storylines happening in this movie. None of them ending well. It's all terrible. It's all shitty. It's all bleak. It's all horrible. It is absolutely the worst aspects of human life for 101 minutes. That's my final pick. Next question, please.
The best thing about that movie is you actually got to see that Marlon Wayans is a great actor.
Yes, that's my favorite part of this movie is Marlon Wayans. He is my introduction to both Ellen Burstyn and Jared Leto. I
don't really see you watching that Claire Danes TV show. I forget the name of it.
My So-Called Life, my man.
My So-Called Life.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just can't. Like, all of my female friends loved that show for some reason. Jared Leto,
yep, Jordan Castellano, I do believe his name is that in that show or something like that. But they fucking loved him some Leto there. And one of my earliest instances of Jennifer Connelly as well, because I was very late to Rocketeer. It is a fucking wild movie, man. It's one of those movies that I don't want to even talk about what it's about, because everyone should go in having absolutely no expectations on what this movie is, like I did, so they can all be as thoroughly disgusted as I was by the time those end credits hit.
I'm just going to put a trigger warning over the entire fucking
ass to ass.
God.
Yeah. Keith David is just the nastiest, seediest dude in the movie. I love it, man. It's one of those, if we did like a top 3 watch once and never again, this is going to be on the list.
There'd be at least.
Also, like, the Incredible Hulk would be on that list.
I like the Incredible Hulk. I like Hulk.
I know you do.
I would probably put Mother and The Fountain also on that list, and I own The Fountain.
All Aronofsky movies.
I love The Fountain. The music is extraordinary. The special effects in that film is extraordinary, and just how they made. They used the micro to create these beautiful backgrounds to create the celestial experience. But fuck that movie. Like,
yeah, you gave that to me as a challenge, if I remember correctly.
That sounds like something I might have done.
Yeah, that's how I watched
sometime in the 65 previous episodes.
The 3-4 years we've been doing this show, it's somewhere in there.
It's been great. But yeah, that Requiem. I've forgotten more about that movie than I remember. Probably for good reason.
Yeah.
So anyway,
those challenges. Speaking of challenges,
those are our weird and wild movies. But in all seriousness, speaking of challenges, there was only been one time, luckily, that I can think of where we've issued a challenge that the other person had forgotten they'd already seen, which was you with this. I challenged you to watch Hausu, and you were like, yes. And then you went, I've seen it. And I went, oh, I forgot I challenged you to that. So thank you for that reminder. Neither of our films fit within the weird and wild category.
Fuck it. We're just knocking those off the to watch list.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
But my film, I would say, definitely fits under the wild category, but not in the weird and wild sort of way. What a fucking movie, man. Like, thank you. Thank you for this. The film I was challenged to was Takashi Miike's 2010 film, 13 Assassins. This is a film that I tried watching years ago when it was on Netflix. When I say years ago, I'm talking like 2013, 2014. Tried to watch this on Netflix. But I watched the beginning of it and went, I can't handle this movie. The film is set during feudal Japan, and the stepbrother of a feudal lord is a brutal fucking asshole. And because of his choices and what he's done, someone who is also a lord underneath the shogun is like, we need to get rid of this guy, but we can't do it because the way our system works, we have to remain and show fealty and loyalty to the lords above us. Hey, you're a retired samurai. Can you kill this man? And they convince him by first, him being the retired samurai, by first introducing him to a man who tells a story about what the stepbrother did to this man's son and wife. And then we meet a woman whose arms and legs were cut off along with her tongue. And after the Lord grew tired of her, threw her away. And I watched that and I went, I'm good. I don't think I want to watch this movie.
Crazy.
And just whatever headspace I was in, I was like, this is not what I'm looking for right now. Okay, fine. But I sit down and watch this, and once again, my stomach got turned. But I was like, okay, I'm going to see this through. And it slowly builds to one of the most exquisite endings I have seen. It is glorious in the way that it builds and builds to a point where it starts. It's called 13 Assassins. There's 13 people fighting against 200 soldiers to get to one man. And they do. But the way in which they do it, it is everything is constantly moving. There's very little breathing room. It is glorious how they put this thing together. And honestly, it all comes down to two words: total massacre. Like, he unfurled that. And just bringing it right back to the beginning, my brain went, yes, fucking put that around the guy's neck and just pop it off. Like, it was so satisfying from beginning to end. Anyone that tells you that it's slow, just can't handle the pacing, because it takes its time. It's not slow. I would say it's more methodical. You're meeting these characters. They're setting things up. They do not rush to get you to this ending, which it's depending on where you look. Yeah, on Letterboxd, it says it's 141 minutes. I watched this on Prime Video, and unless there's a different cut, mine was 2 hours, 5 minutes. So there's a 15-minute discrepancy between this time and the one on Prime Video. But let's say it's 2 hours, 5 minutes. The last 40 is the fight.
Yeah.
So it takes that first hour, 80 minutes and uses them. It's great. Just slowly sets everything up. Thank you so much for this challenge. I had seen First Love and The Blade of the Immortal, both of which I own. I did a home release review of First Love, but I saw The Blade of the Immortal, Takashi Miike's 100th film, in theaters at the Charlotte Film Festival. That movie is fucking bonkers.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Oh, so good. Need to rewatch it. but thank you, because I have not seen this. And apparently there's over 99 more for me to catch up on at some point.
Yeah.
I won't be watching Itchy the Killer. That one is where I first heard about Takashi Miike, and I look at that box cover and I go, no, fuck you. No.
I have seen Ichi the Killer. Boy, is it fucking wild. My experience with 13 Assassins, I have been drunk out of my mind every time I watch that movie. So I'm like, I think I've seen this. And I play it for a little bit and I'm like, I have seen this. Let me get a drink and sit down and watch the rest of this. And then things just get progressively worse from there. I love this movie. Some great, the third act is just one giant climax of a scene.
It's great.
And it is absolutely nutty and wonderful. I love this movie. It is in contention for the 100 action movie list, so I will be sitting down and rewatching it sometime soon. It is probably drunk. It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
It's a good movie sober.
It's there you go. There's your
a great movie sober
suggestion right there. You gave me 2006's Fearless. We went all Asian this time around, man. Jet Li, man. We're going over to China this time around.
Well, thanks to you and watching Iron Fists and Kung Fu Kicks, I loaded up my Prime Video with all these Shaw Brothers and other films that I will eventually watch.
I have, I think, currently 185 movies on my action movie list that I'm kind of currently slowly whittling down. And I was like, I have way too much Shaw Brothers on this list, so I gotta take about 95% of those off. But yeah, Shaw Brothers make some good, and Golden Harvest both make good movies. This one,
real quick, apparently Prime Video also has some Takashi Miike stuff on there, so I may end up on a different rabbit hole. So thanks for that, asshole.
You're quite welcome, sir. You're quite welcome. They tout. So I knew that Fearless was familiar to me. Mm-hmm. I went and watched the trailer before I watched the movie. And I forgot that this was touted as Jet Li's final martial arts epic. And that's what triggered that's right, I did hear something about this. And I watched this movie. I've seen parts of it. It was the fight scenes I'd seen on YouTube years ago. Mm-hmm. So it was nice to actually watch the whole movie. And man, this is just a fucking dope movie. Fearless is absolutely wonderful. Director Ronnie Yu, and somehow Ronnie Yu makes a 105 movie epic feel epic. There's just a lot of shit happening, man. It's about Hugh Yunyanjia. Boy, I butchered that name. Sorry to that man, and sorry to Jet Li. Just about one of China's greatest martial artists, one of their greatest fighters. This is inspired by true events, we'll say.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, this is Ip Man's teacher, who then eventually went on to teach Bruce Lee.
Yes, and it's about the final years of the Qing dynasty, before the Republic of China as we know it now, or as in its infancy stages. Man, it's just absolutely dope action scenes mixed with dope character work. I think this is probably Jet Li's best acted movie that I've seen. He's just in the role, man, doing a great job. Everyone in this movie is doing a great job with the acting. Just telling a story about a dude who strives to be a man who's always striving to be better than he is, but when that ambition turns into something like greed, how that takes an effect on his life, and the negative consequences of his overreaching is, I guess, the best way to put it. And then him on a course to not quite set things right, but to find peace within himself. It is just a beautiful human movie. It starts off as a man striving to be the best, and then it ends up being a man striving to be the best version of himself that he can be. Absolutely wonderful. I loved everything about it. The fight scenes are dope. Cinematography is dope. Ronnie Yu's direction was dope. I love all parts of Fearless. And I was gonna say if that's Jet Li's final martial arts epic, but it's been like almost 20 years. So I think we can say this probably been his final epic martial arts movie.
He did some other movies. I'm pretty sure he did some other movies after this, but this may have been the biggest one that he did.
Yeah.
Because I think the movie he did with Jet Li, where he played with Jackie Chan, where he played the Monkey King briefly. I think that came after this.
Yeah, but it's hard pressed to call that piece of shit movie a martial arts epic. But yeah, he
I didn't say it was epic. I just said it wasn't his last.
Well, if I remember correctly, this movie is touted. It's marketed as his last epic martial arts movie.
Gotcha.
And he went out on the highest of high notes. A lot of people talk about like Bruce Lee, Donnie Yen, Jackie Chan. A lot of people forget that Jet Li was in that conversation as well, doing a lot of great shit, man. And this is one of those great movies. So thank you for giving me this bit of business, man. It is a good movie, man. Well worth the watch. Absolutely.
This film and Ong Bak were critical to me surviving DC before I found an apartment. Crystal and I found an apartment, and before
were you just using moves from these movies to fight people in DC?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why my elbows and my head suck. It's all the TIE fighting.
All the TIE fighters' knees fucked up forever.
But I forget now if I saw it in DuPont. There was a theater. It was either in Chevy Chase or DuPont that I saw.
DuPont Circle.
My aunt and uncle live in Bethesda, so I forget which theater I went to. But they were kind enough to let me stay with them while I was looking for an apartment starting grad school. And it was either the day I saw Fearless or the day I saw Ong Bak that I got a horrific migraine during the movie. And like I had to call out of work the next day because I was fucking dying. But the movies, either way, fucking great.
Yes.
So
yes, it was a damn fine film. Thank you.
No, thank you. This is one of those rare challenges where like we were both happy.
Yay! All right, I think that is about it for this episode of Cinnamon, man. You got anything before we wrap this bad boy on up?
No, just if there's anything that we talked about that you're not familiar with, we recommend going and checking them out. Most of the movies that we've talked about are available on home video, likely streaming somewhere for free as part of a subscription that you may have already. So check those. And if there's any that you have seen, be sure to let us know what you think about them.
Sure to let us know what you think about them so we can probably tell you how wrong you are. That is it.
No.
Depending on the movie, it's just going to be me, not Doug. All right, that is it for 66. The Cinnamon Man will be back hopefully in a scant few weeks, man. With yet another, we're on a bit of a roll right now. Let's keep it going if we can. Let's keep it going.
Keep going.
Until then, man, you all take it easy and have a good one out there.
Later.